You ever notice how people laugh at warnings? They shrug, smirk, roll their eyes, as if danger sends a polite invitation first. That's the game, isn't it? Everyone thinks they have more time, until time decides to collect its debt. You say, later, but later always arrives sooner than you expect. And it doesn't knock, it breaks the door down. There are messages in the air, in the silence, in the chaos, but most pretend they can't hear them. They walk blind, they cover their ears, because the truth rattles too loud. But ignoring it doesn't erase it. Ignoring it paints a target on your back. When a voice calls out, it's not a suggestion, it's survival. Because when you don't listen, you don't just miss the warning, you become the warning. You hear a warning, and what do? You laugh, you shrug. You tell yourself, that's not for me, that's for someone else. And that's exactly how they get you. Because comfort is the sweetest little poison, wrapped up in a blanket that makes you believe you're safe, when in reality, it's the very rope tightening around your neck. You sit in your room, sipping your tea, scrolling your phone, convincing yourself that nothing dangerous could ever reach you. You say, it's just noise, just another scare. But every time you dismiss the knock at the door, every time you mute the alarm in your head, you're handing the world the keys to your downfall. The real trick. The warning doesn't even have to be loud. It can be soft, subtle, almost invisible. A bad feeling in your chest. A coincidence that repeats itself one too many times. A whisper in the chaos, yet you silence it. You bury it. Because it's easier to stay numb, easier to stay distracted, easier to convince yourself that warnings only belong to paranoid people. But do you know what happens when you ignore them? They don't just vanish. They wait. They sharpen. They gather strength until they're no longer whispers. They're knives. And then suddenly one day, you realize that the very comfort you clung to was the weapon used against you. That soft chair, that peaceful silence, that false sense of security. It all becomes the setting for your downfall. Because comfort is seductive. It makes you think you have time, makes you believe you're untouchable. But time is a cruel dealer. While you waste it drowning in comfort, someone else is listening, preparing, moving. Someone else heard the warning and sharpened themselves like a blade. And when they come, they don't need to shout. They don't need to announce themselves. They strike while you're still convincing yourself it was nothing. That's the thing people never understand. Warnings don't exist to scare you. They exist to arm you. They're not shackles, they're weapons. But if you ignore them, if you sit back and smirk at them, those same weapons get turned around, aimed right at you. And isn't it funny? The very thing that could have saved you becomes the very thing that destroys you. Comfort does that. Comfort blinds you. Comfort kills you slowly, smiling the whole time. So when you hear the signal, when you feel that tingle in your gut, when you sense that something isn't right, don't you dare bury it. Don't you dare laugh it off. Because ignoring it doesn't make it disappear. It makes you a target. And a target is all you'll ever be if you choose comfort over caution. Fear is the oldest teacher, yet the most misunderstood. People think fear is weakness, a chain that binds you, something to suppress, something to medicate, something to laugh off in public while it eats you alive in silence. But fear, oh, fear is far more honest than any friend you'll ever have. Fear doesn't lie to you. Fear doesn't flatter you. Fear doesn't pat you on the back and tell you it'll all be fine. Fear looks you in the eye and whispers, "You're not ready. You're exposed. They're coming." And you stuff cotton in your ears because it's easier to believe the pretty lies than face the ugly truth. But here's the cruel twist. Those who bury fear don't escape it. They choke on it. You see, fear sharpens those who respect it. It makes your heartbeat race, your breath quicken, your senses widen. That's not weakness. That's a gift. That's your body saying, wake up, move faster, think sharper, or you won't last. But the problem with people today is they want comfort, not clarity. They think fear means stop, hide, run away. No. Fear means you step into the fire, eyes wide open, and you adjust. You learn. You endure. Fear is the ultimate coach. It punishes the lazy, rewards the prepared. But most people, they lock it in the basement, pretending it doesn't exist, while their lives rot above ground. Think of it. Every predator that ever walked the earth trusted fear more than anything else. The lion stalking its prey, the soldier standing on the battlefield, the survivor in the darkness. They don't silence their fear. They ride it like a storm. Fear fuels instinct, and instinct keeps you alive. Strip away fear, and you're left with arrogance. And arrogance is the shortest road to destruction. That's why so many fall. They mistake their fear for a flaw, when in reality, it was the one thing trying to keep them alive. But society, oh, it loves to paint fear as shameful. Be fearless, they chant. Fear nothing. What a joke. Fear nothing. That's not courage. That's stupidity. A fearless man isn't a strong man. He's a blind man. And blind men don't last long when the knives are out. The ones who last, the ones who rise, are those who let fear crawl through their veins, not as a poison, but as a pulse. They let it guide them, shape them, sharpen them into something dangerous. So the question is simple. Do you let fear teach you, or do you let it bury you? Because it will do one or the other, whether you acknowledge it or not. Fear is always present, always humming in the background. The only choice you really have is how you use it. Ignore it, and you'll collapse under its weight. Respect it, and you'll grow teeth. Fear is not the enemy. Fear is the reminder that something bigger is coming, something you can't afford to laugh off. Fear doesn't cripple, it exposes. And those who can't handle that exposure, they're the first to disappear when the storm hits. Pain. That word alone makes people squirm, doesn't it? The mere thought of it sends them running toward distraction, pills, noise, anything to avoid sitting with it. But here's the truth. Pain is the only language reality speaks in. Everything else, every comfort, every pleasure, every little distraction you chase, it's temporary sugar coating. But pain is raw, pain is honest. Pain doesn't care about your excuses or your fragile feelings. It grabs you by the throat and demands you pay attention. And most people, they hate it because they can't control it. But that's exactly why it's the greatest teacher you'll ever have. You see, when everything is smooth, when everything is easy, when life hands you candy-coated days, you don't grow, you just drift. You sink into softness. You convince yourself you're strong, when in reality, you're fragile. But the moment pain steps into the room, masks fall off. Pain doesn't negotiate. It doesn't wait until you're ready. It comes when you least expect it, and it forces you to decide. Do you break, or do you transform? That's why pain is a forge, and you are the metal. Weak metal shatters under heat. Strong metal bends, reshapes, becomes sharper. Which one are you? Think about it. Every scar you carry, every sleepless night, every betrayal, Every moment you thought you wouldn't survive. Look at you, standing here now. That wasn't weakness. That was proof that pain carved pieces of you into something harder, tougher. But most people, they hide their scars. They act like it's shameful to have been broken. They paste smiles over wounds, pretending they've never been touched. But scars are not weakness. Scars are maps. They show where you've been burned, cut, shattered, and rebuilt. Every scar is a receipt that you paid the price of becoming who you are. The strange thing is people think avoiding pain makes them safe. But avoiding pain is what makes them hollow. Because when the storm finally comes, and it always comes, they're unprepared, they crumble, they panic, they scream, "Why me?" As if the world owes them some gentle path. But those who've danced with pain before don't flinch. They know the storm. They've tasted blood before. They've seen the fire and realized it doesn't kill them. It forges them. And so they walk into the storm differently. Not because they enjoy suffering, but because they understand it's not an ending. It's an initiation. Pain strips away illusions. It shows you who you really are when the pretty mask falls off. It reveals what you cling to, what you fear, what you can't let go of. It humbles you, drags you down to your knees, then whispers, "Know now you can learn." That's the secret. Pain is not punishment. It's preparation. It forces you to build strength you didn't know you had. It demands you let go of what was killing you. And the longer you run from it, the louder it knocks on your door, until one day you're forced to open it, unprepared, trembling, while those who embraced it long ago are already armored, already sharpened, already ready. So when you feel pain pressing on your chest, don't be so quick to curse it. Don't be so quick to drown it with noise. Sit with it. Stare at it. Ask what it's teaching you. Because whether you realize it or not, pain is shaping you into something you can't yet see. And the ones who walk out stronger are the ones who dared to let it carve. People love to chase shortcuts. They crave the fast track, the overnight success, the magical solution that requires no sacrifice, no sweat, no discipline. They scroll for tricks, they beg for hacks, they want everything except the truth. And the truth is brutal. Nothing worth holding comes without cost. You don't stumble into greatness by accident. You bleed into it. Every step forward is bought with something. Time, effort, loss, pain, failure. But people don't want to hear that, because deep down they know it means they'll have to face themselves. They'll have to give up comfort, excuses, and laziness. And that terrifies them more than failure ever could. The irony is, shortcuts don't actually cut anything short. They just delay the inevitable. You can skip the work today, but you'll pay the interest tomorrow, and the debt will be heavier. You can fake it for a while, but cracks always show. People think they're being clever, sneaking around the grind, but all they're doing is digging themselves into shallow graves of mediocrity. Because while they're busy chasing easy, someone else is building the muscle of discipline. Someone else is carrying the weight day after day until their bones grow stronger. Someone else is sharpening their craft in the dark, while shortcuts addicts keep circling the same dead end. And when the moment comes, when the opportunity finally arrives, who do you think will be ready? It's not just about working harder. It's about embracing the cost. Most people don't even realize they're addicted to comfort. They don't see how their soft habits are slowly poisoning them. They say they want freedom, but they choose chains every day. The chain of sleep, the chain of endless scrolling, the chain of excuses. They don't understand that the very thing they run from, the discomfort, is the only thing that sets them free. Every sacrifice you make, every small piece of comfort you burn, buys you strength, buys you clarity, buys you power. But you have to be willing to let go of what feels good now, to take hold of what matters later. People worship the reward, but despise the process. They love the idea of standing at the top of the mountain, arms stretched high, world bowing at their feet. But they forget the climb. They forget the blisters, the cold, the endless rocks cutting into skin. They forget the loneliness, the doubt, the moments where turning back feels easier. They want the view without the ascent. But here's the thing. The climb isn't punishment. It's transformation. It's in the climb that you discover who you are, what you're made of, and whether you deserve the peak at all. If the mountain carried you to the top, you'd collapse the second you arrived, too weak to stand in the wind. But when you claw your way up, every breath burning, every muscle screaming, you arrive not just at the summit, you arrive changed. And isn't that the point? The cost is not meant to break you. It's meant to strip away the false you. Every obstacle that knocks you down, every loss that rips your chest open, every sacrifice that leaves you empty. That's the price. And if you keep paying it, something inside hardens. You stop being fragile. You stop being fooled. You stop begging for easy and start embracing the fight. That's when you become unstoppable. Not because life got kinder, but because you became sharper, harder, heavier than life itself. So the next time you're tempted to ask, why is it so hard? Shift the question. Ask instead, what is this difficulty building in me? Because the cost is not random, it's necessary. Without it, the reward would crush you. Without it, you'd never be able to hold what you're asking for. That's the punchline most people miss. You don't get rewarded despite the struggle. You get rewarded because of it. Every tear, every sleepless night, every sacrifice is part of the ticket. And only those willing to pay the full price ever walk into the room where destiny is waiting.